Hey everyone, it's Monday, and we have decided to pause our regularly scheduled programming to have a live production meeting. Last week I threw a guest upon these guys and mixed things up a little bit, which is just kind of mixed us up in general. So that's why we have our like vortex of we're in a vortex today. So how do you guys think the show is going?
Well, I like getting together with you guys and pondering the things that we ponder. And manifestation theory is um, new to me. So I don't really have, I mean, sort of new to me. So I don't really have preset ideas. So I like that I'm trying to figure out what I think while I'm trying to figure it out. And I love talking to both of you, and both of your perspectives are different. So it's been great. I feel a little bit like we're drifting away from manifestation theory. And although I like Wayne, um, I had to hold the book up just once. Um, I feel like he's a little bit off our thematic. And although, when taken in toto with our whole Louvre at the very end of this, he may fit in. He may be part of our the road that we're on. But right now, it feels like he's a little bit different than what we've been talking about. But I like the ideas. Back to you, Bob.
Jay-Z?
Oh, yeah, I like talking with you guys as well. I like our ideas. I'm kind of done with Wayne Dyer myself. Like, because I'm not like that excited to keep reading the book, I find, because I'm like not doing my homework, which is not, I'm feeling that I'm not excited about the book, and I've been trying to think about why it is I'm not excited about the book, and maybe it's because it's like the sixth one we've read in this genre, and I feel like we kind of get it, you know? And I think that like when was it, a year ago or 2 years ago when I was like first discovered Neville Goddard, I was like really psyched about it, and these were like new concepts. And having put them into place and having like written and scripted in my journal every single day for like a year, I feel like it's time to kind of move on.
From manifestation theory.
From not move on from manifestation theory itself, but move on from studying it so directly, but rather incorporating all the ideas in like the next level of what we learn.
I'm ready for the next level too. I looked at books, and it's like somebody, Neville Goddard, somebody, Neville Goddard, somebody, Neville Goddard, if you look at the list. So if you've done all the Neville Goddard books, maybe if you've synthesized all of them, maybe you can just enlighten us. Have you read them, Andy, as well?
No, no. We've read a lot of manifestation books, though. I mean, or different texts, and I watched The Secret.
Yeah, I did too.
It becomes a cycle. It's like a genre, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, some things you can go down the rabbit hole forever, but I feel like the manifestation genre is a little repetitive. Um, and that we kind of grokked the concepts of manifestation. I mean, I want to ask, like, okay, so what is this show? Like, are we three friends coming together? Is it a book club? Because like Jupiter's left Gemini, and I feel like the book club vibes are kind of past, like that was something we were doing for the Jupiter and Gemini series was book clubbing. Um, but it's like, what are we? Are we three friends? Are we existential philosophers? Like, what makes our show our show?
Well, I'd say it's like it's all of those things, right? It is like it is special that our friendship really bonds us and comes through in our conversations. I think we're a good like match of the three of us becoming from such different like perspectives and life experiences, but having a lot of like overlap in our maybe values or philosophies. So I think that's really cool. So I think no matter what we end up talking about it or discovering together and bringing the audience together with us, will be interesting. I think that yeah, could use a new topic. I hear what you're saying about the book club vibes. Maybe that's part of also why I'm feeling like I'm always, wait, where are we? What page are we on?
Right.
Like, so I think that if we had a different framework for discussions, like the books worked out well as a framework for discussions. So if it was a topic that was a new topic that was exciting to read or discover or learn, I do like how having a kind of syllabus helps us along and not have to um, have one person like prepare what the theme is going to be. We're just kind of following along.
Right. I like not strictly, but a rough idea of what we want to talk about. And I think by um, yeah, I just feel like it's valuable information in his book, but it doesn't tie into what we want to do. And if we're if we've looked at all the superficial manifestations of manifestation theory, um, what is the next level? What do we focus on? So if we're taking this thing apart piece by piece, what is the next bauble that we hold up and look at for us?
Well, so from a producer's lens on my side, like what I think the strength of the two of you together is is two extremely smart brains that can go all over the place. They can go to existential philosophy, they can go into politics, they can go into all these things. And like in some ways I feel like we're not really tapping into the resource that is the two of you together. I mean, so three of us, but I do a lot of shows, but I'm just saying the two of you together, like so we have to think about how we can activate the two of you in a way as to make like super useful content for the people watching these shows. And it's like, what would be useful for the crew that watches these shows? You know what I mean? Um, and I mean, we could go topical. We could do like nihilism one week and then talk about communism. We could go politics. I know you're into politics, Lemire. And then I could bring the astrological layer and we could weave politics together with astrology or, that recent. Or we could have guests. We could be an existential philosophy show, which where we have guests on talking about different existential philosophy topics. That's also really interesting to me. I think this threesome could go all over. That like there's a million things we could do, but like adhering to a book seems kind of like our ideas are not shining because we're like so adherent to this like I want to do stoicism, but is like if we read a bunch of books about stoicism that becomes canned material as well where it's like we could be I'm not really sure. What do you think of that?
Well, I don't think we have to just make it a book club. I think that what we have taken, and so far I've enjoyed our discussions of everything, um, is that we synthesize that information and we put our perspective into it and stir it up a little bit. And so um, the idea is that it's the association of ideas, to quote Simone de Beauvoir, that I love the most. And so that whatever that, however we can do that. We've been doing it, but and to continue, however we can do that is of interest to me.
Like, what if I gave us a topic like gender as a performance? Okay, that would be interesting to hear to me, to hear from you guys, because we have a gender and astrology show that could go under the gender astrology playlist. But like Lumiere, you're a straight male of a different generation. We have just different, I'm female, like we have different we're all existential philosophers, but we all have different backgrounds, like Jay-Z was saying. It might be interesting if we took on topics like, because in the Course in Miracles, we trip on one sentence for an hour and a half. Like, we could just take a topic and trip on that topic for an hour. I mean, I'm not really sure.
Well, if we were going to do that, we would need we would need to talk together about what the next list should look like and what topics we want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, we
the way
touched
we've done
briefly on
topical.
gender.
Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, the way we've done topical shows with other people is like we'll just have a production meeting like this and make a list of like 10 topics we want to talk about, and then we just schedule those 10. And then if we wanted to have guests on there, I mean, the thing about having a guest is we get less airtime to talk. So it's like the guest talks, and it's like then that cuts into the airtime of you guys talking. So it's like, but guests coming on shows does like raise numbers and things because the guest, it brings in an audience to the show. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not totally focused on numbers, but as a producer, we do think about numbers of like how would this show thrive as far as numbers.
Well, you could dress as a different person every week and then pretend to be the guest.
Ah, that's fun. Well,
You
you
could
know what?
develop a new persona every week, and then come dressed as that persona.
I could do that. That'd be a little role playing.
Yeah, well, I kind of like the acting part of it too. So here's the other, and I know you and I were talking about this a bit, Andy, right? So I also wouldn't mind getting meta about this because we're all artists, right? Like Lumiere, you're a photographer and playwright, and Andy is a producer and a musician and astrologer and charismatic cult leader. And I I am also a performer and I like learning about things and then practicing them. So I like it when we talk about, so for example, Lumiere, when you talk about conflict and how conflict drives a storyline. I like it when we talk about how stories are interesting to people. I like it, Andy, when you talk about production value, then you're like, well, let's try doing this and we try that, or let's try doing this, and we try that. And I think it would be really fun also to, yeah, have some meta way of like trying to talk about ideas for making the show an engaging show and then doing them with us as the actors or with other people as the actors. Go ahead.
Okay, can I say something? So,
Andy?
okay, so one of the things of the three of us is we are actually all producers on the show. And I'm a charismatic culture leader. I'm not like a cult leader. I just like culture. I'm not like a cult leader. But I don't know, like anyway, we're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but the thing that's funny that you said that. But um the thing is, okay, so Jay-Z and I were talking about this. I'm reading this book called Steal the Show, and it's all about, like getting a standing ovation, whatever you do. And so, because we got, people watching the station. So then the question is, how do we give them a good show every time? And that's what this book is about. And there's concepts in there like dramatization, handling critics, like all this kind of stuff. And Jay-Z and I were talking about the fact that if the three of us are producers on this show, we could teach all the actors on the show how to be better by learning ourselves how to be better. So we could do not, I don't want to read from the book, but we could do topics. Like we could do like dramatization as a topic. We could do handling critics as a topic. We could do scripting things versus live writing as a topic. So we could go into a series where we look at acting and I don't know, like in production on that side. What do you think of that, Alexander?
Well, that it doesn't. It sounds step by step toward a project, but it doesn't sound thoughtful to me.
Doesn't
I
sound
like the fact thoughtful. I like the fact that what we're doing for an hour is navel gazing, and I like that a lot. It's what it's what brings me here. It's why I like you guys. But I don't want to build something. You know, I don't want to build a truck. I just want to ponder ideas because really there is no place to do that. This is the one place that I have besides reading and listening to things where we get to take an idea and pull it apart and see what makes it tick, see what makes it valuable or invaluable or not valuable at all. So that's what thrilled me about our association is that um, there is no place, and it's kind of poetic in its own way, and there's no place to take the association of ideas and look at what they mean. And secondly, there's very little poetry.
well, then I hear you, and I actually do think that like sapping the existential philosopher potential from the two of you or the three of us is a really interesting concept for a show of like saying, but we would have to give ourselves really interesting prompts. Like we could be like, I think gender as performance would be a really interesting like existential prompt, but we could also do like communism and astrology, like similarities and differences, or we could do what is nihilism, or we could do I mean, just like the weird, we would have to make a list of really juicy prompts that that, but should they apply to astrology since this is an astrology station, or should they just be should
Yes,
our show just be non-astrology, like the constant where all the astrology shows are compared to?
no, I think that because you're based in astrology, both of you actually, that astrology should be the through line and the anchor, and I can add my opinions because nothing would stop me. I could add my opinions to whatever you're talking about, even though I don't know anything about astrology. But as long as you guys keep us on the astrology track,
Oh, I have an
because
idea.
all of your stuff, you want it to be all tied together, right?
Well, I have an idea. Okay, so we deal with a lot of existential questions in astrology, like conflict, like people like Mars problems, like there's always conflict, and like there's a whole episode of the New Philosopher magazine on conflict. And like since we're philosophers, we could deal with the hardest questions in astrology of like what what is the best way to handle conflict? Or I mean, what do you think of that, Jay-Z?
Sorry, I did thumbs up. It's almost like air quotes.
Yeah, no, tell me more. Tell me more. I'm intrigued.
Trying to think, or like if what are Saturn issues like? What is the function of depression in a human life?
Hmm.
Or what is the role of beauty in life? You know, because that would be a Venus question. But we could like have questions that kind of relate to the planets, for example. We could start with the planets.
That would
Like,
be great. That would
Oh,
be
yeah, I
great.
hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
As long as you guys fill me in and you tell me, so Mars is a pain in the ass and this is blah, blah, blah. Now, what do we do about this?
well, your role could be you're the existential philosopher who's not an astrologer.
I'm
And,
not.
and that's your role. And our role, and then Jay-Z is kind of like a hybrid of like not, well, you're an astrologer, Jay-Z, but like
You're in a, yeah.
I'm the extremist astrologer who like looks at everything astrologically. Jay-Z's kind of like middle ground and like you're non-astrologer.
You know a lot about astrology, Daisy. Yes.
Yeah, I know the concepts. I know the concepts.
Well, and you
But
can watch transits. I mean, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's one of the concepts, I guess.
yeah. But
well,
I
I
think,
like this idea because for a couple of reasons. I think that the three of us would come up with great perspectives on any of these topics related to astrology,
Hmm.
even though I don't know anything about astrology. And I think that this would peripherally help all of your astrology stuff because it ties into it. So this is the spot where you just take everything apart and navel gaze at it, and because, in astrology, I guess, like anything, people are saying, oh, yeah, Mars is a pain in the ass this month. And there it sits. So we pick it up after it sits.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's a lot of questions. Like we could look at the Mercury issues. We could say, how does communication affect a human relationship? And that would be a
Absolutely.
Mercury question. But yeah, like I think I'd be curious to tie our show into astrology and see how that changes the numbers. I'm not going to cut us because of the numbers, but as a producer, I'm always watching the numbers because the crew talking to us. I like this. This is not totally up my alley. Oh, more of that in the monitor. It's like, and if we watch the numbers and they change, and because we have a constant, pretty much 23 to 26 views, like so we have this kind of constant we can compare it to. If we spike up to 40 views, we're gonna be like, oh my God, they like this topic. And that teaches us something about our our audience. I mean, and it's all lessons in the audience, really.
So really, yeah, I guess thoughtful content, and maybe not sensational, but thoughtful, because you can get sensational anywhere.
Yeah.
So thoughtful, and
I
that
like the
that's
idea that
great.
I like the idea that we're the existential philosopher crew where we deal with the hardest, and that stoicism can come up in our show because stoicism is existential philosophy. Like we can go and stoicism applies to astrology. So we can go anywhere from stoicism to what to do with Pluto problems to what to do with a composite if a couple is married and they have a bad composite chart. Like we can deal with all the questions that astrologers deal with that they don't know what to do, and there are multiple approaches.
Right. And if we know what we're going to do in advance, so I would be happy to look up the Stoics and take their philosophies and summarize them, and the movement, whenever that was.
Yeah, we could do a
In, in,
series on Stoicism. We could do like a Stoicism episode every 4 episodes, like once a month we talk Stoicism or something like that. If there's a topic that we really like.
Well, honestly, I think Stoicism is going to come into it when no matter what we do, because it's like a system that I believe answers a lot of questions, and its values are that like life is like it is, and we are like we are, right? And that is part of our function is to be here and be ourselves, which aligns with how astrology like it has been explained to me, you know? So I think like no matter what, it's gonna come up, and I like this. I like where we're going. I agree with that there are going to be ways of bringing philosophy into explanations of hard problems in astrology and hard problems with people's lives, you know?
that sounds great. Stoicism is a school of Hellenistic philosophy that flourished in ancient Greece. Like, uh, just had the date here. We're third century BCE. So there already was a philosophy. All we do is take that and look at it too, in addition to what you know about Stoicism from charts.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about Stoicism. I've just been reading this book by Epictetus, but I think, having lessons on Stoicism, the students would love that because a lot of them hear about Stoicism from the Hellenistic astrologers. And so that's like a through line among astrology. So for us to study that would be in brand. I think our show's been a little bit out of brand. I mean, manifestation does apply to astrology, but a lot of people don't know that. And it's just not as in brand as some of the other shows, you know?
Well, I think that also Wayne Dyer was more on the like the spiritual woo-woo side of manifestation and not kind of the like tangible side of it, of like, who are you and what do you want?
Yeah. You remember
So
that? I don't
I
remember his
think
name, but
we're
the first,
diverging from the
sorry,
path.
I interrupted. The first guy that you recommended, where he had practices, um, a youngish guy, and I don't remember the title of the book, but that guy had very clear ideas about um, manifestation theory, how to teach yourself how to do it, and practices, and that was very clear and direct. And Wayne is all over the place, and he's not trying to um, go in any direction. I think
So,
I kind of feel like he's trying to sell a book.
so how about this? What is a think tank?
I don't know. I think it's more than three.
Or what's a Shark Tank?
Something I want to stay out of.
But isn't there like a political thing called a Shark Tank or something?
I think only in DC. I'm gonna look it up. There's Shark Week.
No, no, I think a Shark Tank is where like you go expecting your ideas to be shredded by the experts, you know? Like it's a more brutal yeah, it's kind of like a gauntlet that you intentionally going to. And I think it is a play on think tank, which is like a bunch of people who are supposed to be experts who come together to kind of, yeah, toss around ideas and come to some good thoughts about things.
It seems
Yeah,
like
it's
kind of a
there's
think
actually a
tank.
TV show called Shark Tank.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
that's where inventors bring their ideas and they try
Yeah,
to give their elevator pitch and get people interested in their ideas for products and stuff.
right. Providers of venture capital to early stage startups. It's a non-scripted television show.
I feel like we're kind of a think tank. And I think by pushing us to think about really hard philosophical questions that astrologers face, it would be an extremely good use of our brains.
Hmm.
I think so too. I can already feel mine warming up. And the thing is that astrology or not astrology, everybody might be interested in pondering these issues. So people who aren't well versed in astrology could get some insight by hearing the perspectives that we bring, and then you could get a little astrology on you if you don't know anything about it. I'm hoping to get a little astrology on me.
Well, your role is to always be the non I mean, you're just a not you're just not an astrologer. If you were one, you would have been one by now.
Right.
Hang out with all these astrologers. I mean, you're just not into the technical side of it. You're just not.
Well, I want to wake up and be an astrologer, but I don't want to take the time to learn it.
Well, it's a technical philosophy, and so there's the technical side of it, but there's also the philosophical side of it. And it's like we need you for the philosophical side of it. We don't need you to do the technicals. We can do that. Like I think you can be helpful to the astrologers without knowing that. In fact, there's something beautiful about you not knowing the technical side because that opens you up to doing things differently than we would, you know?
Mm, mm. But I'm always interested in whatever I learn. I like Boris Karloff there, by the way, on your shirt.
Oh,
Oh,
pretty excited.
Um, this sounds like a great idea.
Do we want a name for the show? Like, since we always think of band names, like, can we, do we want a show name or should we just,
I don't know. We could also keep tabs on manifestation theory and see how we feel about it over time and what keep coming back because that's where we started.
but I feel like that was the think tank on manifestation theory. Like, I don't necessarily want to pigeonhole this three people into manifestation, but I hear you.
I just think it could keep coming back at some point. I mean, not that we have to force it back, but I think it could play back again and again.
Like, JC, we could talk about the, that issue of should people be trying to get thin or should body positive, what's better, body positivity or trying to get fit? Like, would this be a good place for that topic, or should that be strictly dedicated to the Astral Bodies show?
Well, how does that tie into astrology?
Well, we have there's the astrological body types.
Ah,
So people
well,
look like their charts.
We could have one episode in which you introduce that topic and explain why it's tied to astrology, and why there's an astrological perspective about it even. That would be interesting. And then we could talk about that for an episode. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like that's what I want us to do is deal with these like really controversial issues of
Yeah.
like we could even talk about vaccines. I mean, that would be controversial, but like, are we a think tank on controversial issues, or do we shirk controversial issues? Or like, what is our ethos around controversy?
I'm not interested in being controversial just to be controversial. If we have an issue, something that we're discussing and it's controversial, then fine.
Yeah, I feel the same. Like I'm not into kind of like uh manufacturing conflict situations necessarily. Um or I'm definitely not into like people arguing viewpoints that aren't necessarily their own, just to because of that. But actually, I mean, on this particular one that you brought up, Andy, I think you and I actually do have very different perspectives and values or thoughts around that.
That's great, but those two things I would love to hear in a discussion among the three of us.
Yeah.
I mean, if you two both patted each other in the back all the time and said, yeah, right, that wouldn't be very interesting to us or anyone listening. But the fact that you have two different opinions about this topic is great.
Well, I mean, I think if we are going to really be in a think tank, our job is to think, and it's to think with what we know and what everything we've known and learned in our life and brought to the table, and with our IQs in hand or whatever. It's like, so it's not, our job is not to agree; it's to think hard and talk. I mean, I would
Yes,
like to make a container of a handshake of like whatever, agree or disagree. If we showed up for the hour and did our parts, we have done a good job. Like agreeing does not make you do a good job, and conflict is no deal breaker. A deal breaker would be like if you don't show up, that
right,
over and
Yeah.
over, that's a deal breaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
right. I looked up think tank and it says it's also called a public policy institute, which I guess is the DC name for it.
Interesting.
But it's I mean, what we're talking about is kind of and maybe I'm extrapolating here, but a salon like what Gertrude Lawrence had in Paris, where people showed up, they argued about points or they discussed problems that they were having. They ate and had lots of sex, but they discussed problems. And not Gertrude Lawrence, Gertrude Stein, and she would hold court. And there would be issues, or the Algonquin Round Table in New York, where writers and philosophers sat around the table and got drunk while they discussed any issue that came to the table. That's a think tank that I conjure when you say the word think tank. I don't know what this is, a DC version of it. I'm not interested, but I think this could be great.
So who brings the question for the evening? Should I do it since I'm writing the main story, or should
No, I
what?
think you should do it because you have both your hands on the astrology part um and the philosophical questions that don't necessarily get solved in the astrology part. And I think Jay-Z has a little handle of that too, so he could come up with a question. But initially, I think it should be you.
Daisy, how about you or I come up with the questions?
Okay. Yeah, I think well, I think I'd like to hear, you propose a few so that we get the vibe, and we can, sort it out together. But I do think it would be important that because it is your channel, like you do have a vested interest in the direction, and I know you have an idea of what you're looking for, right? So,
Right.
uh, definitely willing to go along with that. Yeah.
Right. And I came because you invited me. So I'm still a guest.
Oh, come on.
No, but I am. This is your thing. And I'm here at your invitation.
Yeah, but I mean, we've grown beyond that. I mean, like the three of us are helping other artists, and I feel like, it's like if I do not run this station, a community of us run this station. I people want me on the episodes to bounce back on them because of the ancient books I've read in Greek. Like there's reasons that I'm on the station a lot. But if you and Jay-Z wanted to make a show on your own, I would post it on the channel because you are part of the community at the Moira Press studio. Like I don't I don't see this station as even me anymore. There's tons of people who make this station happen. So I get it, but it's like it's grown beyond me. I mean, it's a team of people. The reason I live online so much is if I go offline for like 3 days, my phone blows up to the point where I can't even get to. I mean, it's not, there's a lot of people's lives that are intimately tied to this work, and it's a community of activists, honestly. I That's how I see it. But so I'm at here at your invitation as well. Like you guys want to hang out on Mondays at 5, and so I'm here.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so back about the topics and stuff, like if it's not like leaving you with too much of the work, that's what I just wanted to say is like I agree it would be good if you were to get the ball rolling, you know?
Well, you know what'll happen is like, okay, I can make it, it'll take me in my writing moments in the morning, it'll take me like one day to write up 10 topics for us. But I do sometimes things come up. Like one time I got called an ableist on the page. And I think in that case, it might be cool for us to handle pressing topics that come up, like how do we define ableism and how do we know if we're being ableist? Like that would have been a cool one to handle on that day that came up, right? So I think it could be cool to just have a static list, but then a queue, things push up the queue if there's actually an issue at the station that needs to be handled. I mean, because I want the
Yeah,
to be
I
real.
like that. I like that, and I like following the or riding the energy while it's happening. Like I like that JL came last time and talked about 4th of July, like that was cool. And I like being adaptive and resilient to things that are happening in the now.
Yeah. I mean, I do.
Yeah. I
Go ahead.
We engaged with jail pretty well, I'd say.
Yeah, the only thing I have to say about that is it really did take away from the airtime that you guys have, the valuable time you guys have to speak. And so I do want to know what is our ethos around guests, because that was really important to Jael that we brought them on in this time sensitive way because they were in a transit or whatever. But they were not super happy with the outcome. They wanted to get their whole point out, and we kept interrupting on their micro points. I'm like, well, if we would have let you monologue for an hour, that would have been weird. Like, so it was, it's like there was a little creative tension over that episode still. But are we agile? Is this agile development? Do we bring guests on if someone wants to come on and talk to the think tank? Are we a closed system? Like, what are we?
Uh, Well, I'd have to say then that's just expectation management. So it sounds like Jael didn't have the right expectations about how it was going to turn out. If he thought that we weren't going to have it be a discussion.
Right.
And maybe for future guests, we'll know to let them know that, you know? Like, I mean, I'm not faulting JL and I'm not faulting you, I'm not faulting us. Like, it's all a learning experience as we're going, right? So, um, maybe we'll know to have them some stuff to show, or they will have expectations of what it's going to be like to be a guest on this show.
That all we have to say is it's a discussion, the discussion. And I think that really, from my perspective, that really JL wanted to have their own channel and a monologue and just lecture for the hour. But so
Yeah, and
that
I did talk to them about that afterwards. I said I encourage these formats for what you want to do. You know, a monologue solo, and I do that sometimes. I make solo videos where I just want to monologue about something, and that's okay. It's like you just got to get your thought out, and that's fine. Professors lecture all the time. I think Giles like
right.
a professor in training or something. But Lumiere, what is your thought on guests?
uh, I like the idea of guests. You know, it will help give us a shot in the arm. Although it's not always a good thing, but a shot in the arm for like whatever topic, as long as they are um, relating to the topic that we're discussing.
Well, so I think we would, if we have a guest from now on, we would write the question with the guest in mind. Like, you know, with Jael, we the question could have been like, does social media deteriorate identity formation or something? And then we could speak that, and we would maybe tell guests that because there's four of us, there will be them talking 25% of the time, and that is the how we like the show is that everyone speaks 25%. I mean, vaguely.
Yeah. Or, you know, just say we're talking about Stoicism next week. Would you like to come? You want to talk about Stoicism with us? With us?
Okay.
So
Yeah, because I like throwing guests at you guys to see how you respond to that new vibe and what they can insert conceptually. I think it did stoke the fires a little bit and pull some stuff out that we wouldn't have seen otherwise.
right. Well, it was different from what we've been talking about. So I had to spend some time listening to get a handle on where jail was going. But then I had responses. So and I talked.
Yeah, yeah, that was cool. I really enjoyed that episode. It's too bad that it wasn't what Jael wanted, but I did think they did like a solo thing on their page afterwards, and yeah, you know, after I like emailed about it it was good. They got their ideas out, I think. So I think, you know, we're working with young artists, and it's like that this is where we become elders essentially, is we are pulling people up, you know, to bigger and bigger expression of themselves. And it's like it's growing pains. Like they came on, we overtalked them, but they were actually overtalking us. You know what I mean? But that was an expectation management problem on my side. Like I didn't do that correctly as a producer. Like, but it's like there's growing pains in production, but that's part of the fun of it is that is the drama of our show is a show of producers basically. And it's like there's a lot of growing pains in that process.
Yeah. I think they had no expectation that anybody would do anything but listen. And that's not who this group has been. But I also feel like I've had an opportunity to feel creative in this with you guys. And that is really important to me.
Yeah, I love how creative you are. And I think all your years working, Jael, if you're listening, we love you and you did awesome. That was an awesome episode. We're just processing the how it all went. No, I think I think somebody with your amount of creative experience, as well as Jay-Z, he's been in a band, several bands, done all kinds of stuff, created scenes. It's like the three of us together have not only some IQ, but we also have extreme experiences in the art realm.
Yeah, say so. you guys have been in music since you were little kids.
Yeah, and you were a playwright, so all right, okay. So what I'm hearing and gonna sum up is we are rebranding our show a little bit. We are definitely keeping onward. We're gonna go existential philosophy think tank on topics that apply to the astrologers or the group at large. And we are going to be open for guests with expectations that it's a discussion, a four-part discussion, and that it will pertain to the topic.
Yeah. Yeah, under discussed topics. So if you have a topic in mind for next time, the sooner that I can start thinking about it, that would be great.
Okay.
No pressure.
Okay. I'll put my writing pants on and do some writing on it with maybe with Shane, and we'll come up with some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I believe next Monday is good for me. So
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I don't think we bored anyone. I think a live production meeting is actually beautiful because if you have input on the show at all, our topic you want to see, write it in the comments and we will listen.
Oh
So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
And then discuss.
I don't
And
like the word
then
disgust because it sounds like disgust.
This is true. Hmm.
ponder.
We'll come up with a good band name, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think on band names for us. All right, you
All
guys,
right.
I love you.
All right. Have a
Love
great
you.
week. I'll see you Sunday.
All right.
You have a barbecue Sunday, right?
That's the 20th. Oh yeah, yeah. Next Sunday.
Next
Yeah.
Sunday.
I hope you can make it. I'll play you some jazz.
I will try to make it. I think I can.
All right, cool.
All right.
As
Bye.
think of it as a cast party.
Cast party.
Ooh.
Oh.
All right, bye.